Hi, welcome to Roy's Game Table. Today we have Iron Man Protection versus Wrecking Crew Extreme Challenge. So pull up a chair and let's see who wins. I've got the deck shuffled and ready to go. I'm playing Extreme Challenge Wrecking Crew today. That's where you have to defeat the A side of each of the villains, and then you have to defeat the B side of each of the four villains. And then I chose Iron Man because I haven't done a playthrough with him yet, and I just wanted to do one to show you Iron Man in the playthrough. And so I chose Protection as his aspect. So let's go ahead and get started. I've got my 6-card hand here, and it's time to mulligan. And I want to get upgrades, and I don't have any upgrades out. Well, I want to keep Pepper Potts and the energy card here, the resource, but I'm going to go ahead and discard all the other ones to hopefully draw up some upgrades of his. And I did get a few upgrades. Good. Okay, well, the first thing I want to do is I do want to get Pepper Potts into play because that will help me to get upgrades in. So I'm going to put her into play with Nick Fury and energy for 3, and then she copies the resources of the top card of this card pile, which would be energy. So I'm going to use her to get those 2 resources to put in the arc reactor, and then I'm going to use Tony Stark's special ability to discard 3 to look at the top 3 cards of your deck and then add 1 to your hand, discard the other ones. So let's see what those are. I got Tackle, Preemptive Strike, and Supersonic Punch. It really doesn't matter which one I get. I'll just take the punch because I'm going to use that, whatever I get, to put the helmet into play. I'm going to hold on to his Mark V armor. I'm going to call that good for the round. I'm going to leave him as on my alter ego side and then draw back up to 6. Okay, need to ready up. And the villain phase, I put one threat on the main scheme, and when you do that, you might put 1 on all the other schemes. So 1 here. Thunderballs will go to 6. Bulldozers will go to 5. Pile Driver will go to 4. And Wrecker is the active villain. I'm on alter ego, so he's going to scheme for 2, 3. Okay, and that's going to make it go from 7 to 10. It will fire off, and when his hits 10, you deal 2 damage to each friendly character. So Iron Man will drop from 9 to 7. And then his will go down to 3. All right, and then the encounter phase. It's an attachment, so I'll attach that to Wrecker. Okay, so basically after he schemes, you place 1 threat on each of the other villain's side schemes. Okay, but he won't be scheming for a while because he now has the lowest threat of any of them. All right, back to me. Well, I've got a Mark V armor that I want to get into play, and I will be doing that, but I think the first thing I'm going to do is put in enhanced reflexes to help with some getting cards into play. So I'll use Repulsor Blast and Supersonic Punch for that. And that'll give 3 counters. And then I'm going to use one of those for 1. Have Pepper Potts use the resource on the top for 2. And then I'll use Preemptive Strike for 3 to put in Mark V armor. And that will increase his hit points from 7 up to 13. Because that gives him 6 hit points when it comes into play. So he's now up to 13. And I could draw 4 cards, but I think I'm going to go ahead and just take 1 more turn in alter ego to see if I can't get some more upgrades out. So I'll ready everything and draw him back up to 6. Okay, so 1 threat here on the villain. 1 goes on to Wrecker. 1 goes here onto Thunderball. Excuse me, 1 threat on the main scheme. 1 goes on to Wrecker. 1 onto Thunderball. He's at 7. Wrecker's at 4. Bulldozer's now at 6, and Pile Driver's at 5. So the one with the most is Thunderball, and he's going to scheme for 3 and deal 1 damage to the defending character. There is no defending character because I'm an alter ego, so I guess there's no damage done because, again, there's no defending character. So he just schemes for 3. But that's 7 to 3. That will bring it to 10. And when his goes off, you stun each friendly character. So Tony Stark or Iron Man, when it gets to that point, is stunned. His will drop down to 3. All right, then encounter card. It's also an attachment. After Thunderball attacks, place 1 threat on the main scheme, and I can get rid of it by exhaust my hero and discarding 1 card at random. So I keep that in mind. If I don't get rid of it, he's going to be putting threat on the main scheme. Okay. So I may end up doing that because I don't want any more threat. I don't want to lose to the scheme for sure. But it's back to me. I did get a couple of upgrades that I'm looking to get into play. Okay, I'm going to put in my power gauntlets that I have. And I'm going to use Genius to do that. And then I'm going to use a resource from Enhanced Reflexes and Pepper Potts to copy Genius. So that's 3 to put in Black Widow. She comes in with 2 health. Oh, and then I'm going to have to move everything over again a little bit because I'm going to be using, so I'm going to put in Rocket Boots using Tackle. Okay, I'm going to have Black Widow thwart for 2 on the main scheme. I'm going to use the Power Gauntlets to just go ahead and get rid of Iron Man's stun. And then Pile Driver, I think, is actually my biggest threat in this game because he makes you discard upgrades and supports, and I definitely don't want to discard upgrades or supports in the case of Pepper Potts. So I don't want him to ever get the token, and I want to get him and kill him as fast as I can, but he has Retaliate 1, so I don't want to take any more damage than I need to. But I think I'm going to thwart to him for 2 to knock that off, to bring him down to 3 with some of the other ones. And then I'll use the Arc Reactor to ready him. And then I'm going to thwart on Bulldozer for 2. And then I'll use the Mark V helmet to thwart. And I also don't want Pile Driver to be the lowest because sometimes the lowest villain gets to activate. So right now he's tied for the lowest. And I'm okay, I think, with Wrecker getting the token back. So I'm going to thwart off Bulldozer with the Mark V helmet. And I think that's all I can do. So I'll ready up. So 1 thread on the scheme for the villain, which is right here. I know everything looks close, but I don't know what else to do so you can see it. This is the hand here. I'll try to move everything back a little bit. And then 1 thwart on everything else. So he goes up to 5. Thunderstruck goes up to 4. Clear the Road goes up to 4. And Pile It On goes up to 4. Wrecker is the new villain again. So he is not going to scheme this time because I'm in hero form, but he will attack. And if I don't attack, he gets plus, an undefended attack gets +2 attack. So I'm just going to go ahead and have Iron Man defend so I can negate that. So he'll attack for 2. And if this attack is undefended, discard an upgrade you control. It is defended, so I don't have to discard the upgrade. So he attacks for 2. I have a defensive 1, so I go from 14 down to 13. And now the encounter card is, I've been waiting for this. The active villain heals 3 hit points. Give that villain a tough status card. Okay? He cannot heal, but I can give him a tough status card. Now I do want to tell you the difference between, some cards say get 3 hit points, like my Mark V armor. It says you get +6 hit points, and that says heal 3. And here's the difference. If a card gives you hit points, like it says you get +6 hit points, you get those 6 hit points and you heal it, and you can heal above your maximum. But if that card ever leaves play, you also have to take those points away. So if I gave myself 6 hit points of Mark V armor here, but if I ever have to discard this, I lose those 6 hit points. Healing, you can't heal above the max, and right now his max is 14. But once you heal those points, you never lose them. And so that's why he didn't heal, but he does get the tough status card. So anyway, that's the encounter card. Back to me. Got another power gauntlet here. I'd like to get that into play. So I'll see if I can figure out how to do that. And I'm going to use strength to put that into play. And so now I have pretty much everything I need ready to go. And I'm going to use one of my powered gauntlets to knock the tough off of Wrecker. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I want to use tackle on Wrecker. I'm going to have Pepper Potts generate the resources at the top card of the discard pile, which is strength, so 2 physical resources. And then I'll use a preemptive strike to go with that for 3. So I'm going to stun him. And because I used a physical resource, which I did, I copied the strength resources from the top. And since I did that, I do get to do 3 damage to him, dropping him from 14 to 11. I'm pretty sure that's right. It says that exhaust Pepper Potts and generate the resources of the top card of the discard pile. And there were strength resources there. So, okay, so I've tackled, done 3 damage, and stunned him. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and do a repulsor blast using my enhanced reflexes, the last token on that, because I only need 1 resource to be able to do that. Okay, and so I discard the top 5 cards of my deck. And here's what I discarded. I've got 1, 2, 3 energy resources. So you do 2 for every energy resource that it shows. So I had 3, so that's 6. Plus 1 is 7. So 7 damage to him drops him down from 11 to 4. And then I'll go ahead and use the other powered gauntlet to knock him down to 3. And then I'll use my Mark V helmet to thwart off the main scheme. And then I'm going to use Arc Reactor to ready Iron Man and to thwart. And I'll just go ahead and thwart for 2. And I'd like for Wrecker to stay, so I don't want to thwart from him. And I'll just have Thunderball. I'll just thwart his for 2, dropping him from 4 to 2. Okay, so we'll ready up. And now I have 7 tech upgrades in, or 6 tech upgrades. So I can draw 7 cards. So I've got 1. Okay, so villain turn, 1 on the main scheme. And then Wreckers will go up to 6. Thunderball, his scheme will go up to 3. Clear the Road will go up to 5. And Pile It On will go up to 5. So Wrecker remains the active villain with 6 threat on his side scheme. He's supposed to attack, but he's stunned. So the encounter card is, when revealed in hero form, the villain whose side scheme has the least threat attacks you. Okay? And that is going to be Thunderstruck, or that's going to be Thunderball. And that's what I didn't want to have happen because he is going to put threat on the main scheme when he attacks. But that's nothing I can do about it. And after he attacks, he deals 1 damage to each character. So Black Widow is going to be knocked out unless I could prevent that. I am going to prevent that. I'm going to exhaust Black Widow and use the power of protection. I'm going to use that wild resource as a mental so I can ignore the encounter card I drew and draw another one. This one is choose the villain whose side scheme has the least threat. Reveal the top card of his deck. Okay, so I have to reveal the top card of Thunderball's deck. And it says the active villain heals 3 hit points. Give that villain a tough status card. So that, and he can heal. So he's going to heal from 3 back up to 6. And that's Wrecker is going to heal. If I can get it to 6. And he gets a tough status card. All right, well, at least Thunderball didn't attack to put threat on the main scheme. But now Wrecker went back from 3 to 6, and he has a tough status card. Okay, so it's back to my turn. I've got 1 card left in my draw pile, so I'm going to be drawing 2 encounter cards this turn, so I want to make a good turn. And I can't go aerial, but that's okay. I'm going to use go ahead and use Power Gauntlets and off the tough off of Wrecker, just to get it out of the way. I'm going to use Pepper Pots to generate the wild resource to put in Endurance. And so that's going to give Iron Man 3 hit points. He'll go up to 16. I'm going to put in an energy barrier. I'm going to hide it, put it over here. I know it's off screen a little bit, but there's an energy barrier over here. And I'm going to use Enhanced Reflexes and the other energy barrier to pay for that. So it'll come in with 3 counters. And I'm going to switch Endurance and Energy Barrier so you can see the Energy Barrier, because Endurance won't do anything the rest of the game. But it's over here. Okay, and then I think I'm going to... well, I was going to Repulsor Blast, but I only get discard 1 card. So I'll just hold on to these 2 cards I have. I'm going to use my Power Gauntlet to deal damage to Wrecker, dropping him down to 5. Then I'm going to use the helmet, Mark 5 helmet, to remove threat from the main scheme. Then I'm going to thwart for 2 off of Wrecker, bringing him down from 6 to 4. And then I'll use the Arc Reactor to ready Iron Man and have him thwart for 2 more. To thwart off of Pile Driver, bring him down from 5 to 3. And ready everybody. Or ready all my upgrades. And Black Widow. And draw back to 7. Okay, so that's 1. I'm going to have to deal myself an encounter card from Wrecker. And reshuffle my deck. Alright, villain phase. 1 threat on the main scheme. Wreckers goes up to 5. Thunderball's scheme goes up to 4. Bulldozers goes up to 6. And Pile Drivers goes up to 4. And so Bulldozer has 6 with the most. He'll become the new active villain. So he attacks for 3. And his attacks gain overkill. So there's really no reason for me to throw Black Widow in front of it. It's not going to do much of a damage reduction. So I'll just have Iron Man take it. He's a 16. So Bulldozer's going to attack for 3, 4, 5. But I am going to use an energy barrier to reduce one of that damage and put a damage on him, dropping him to 11. And so he does 5 minus 1 is 4 damage to Iron Man, dropping him from 16 to 12. Okay, and I have to deal myself an encounter card from him. So this first encounter card that was from Wrecker, because my deck ran out. It's when revealed hero, Wrecker attacks you. Then move the active villain counter to the villain whose side scheme has the least threat. So, okay, so Wrecker is going to attack me. I'll defend, so I don't have to do that 2 extra damage. His attack is 2, 3. I'll do the same thing. I'll use an energy barrier to prevent one of that damage and deal damage to him, dropping him to 4. So I only take 2 damage, drop him to 10. Okay, and then move the active villain counter to the villain whose side scheme has the least threat. And I'll just move it to Thunderball, I guess. It's tied between him and Pile Driver. It doesn't matter, or it shouldn't matter. Okay, and then the one that came from Bulldozer. It's an attachment. After a Bulldozer attacks you, discard one card from the top of your deck for each point of damage dealt by this attack. And I can exhaust my hero, discard one card at random. So I got two attachments that I need to try to get rid of. All right, back to my turn. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to use a Repulsor Blast. And I'm going to use Enhanced Reflexes to do it. So discard the top 5 cards of my deck. And these are the cards I discarded. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 energy resources. Okay. And so 4 times 2 is 8 and 1 is 9. And by the way, I was attacking Pile Driver with that. So he'll drop from 9 or from 11 down to 2. Okay. And I'll take a retaliate damage for that down to 9. Okay, and then I'm going to use Pepper Pots to generate the top resource of the discard pile, which is Repulsor Blast, a physical resource, because I'm going to use Tackle. And then I'll use Luke Cage and a Med Team to pay the other 2 resources. And I'm going to stun Wrecker and deal 3 damage to him, dropping him from 4 to 1 with that Tackle. And then I'm going to use a Power Gauntlet to hit him for 1, and that's going to move him to his side B. So he'll come back in with 16 hit points. Okay. And then I'll use the other Power Gauntlet to go ahead and drop him down to 15. Use the Mark V helmet to thwart for 1 off the main scheme. Use Arc Reactor to ready Iron Man. I'm going to thwart for 2. I'm going to remove it from Bulldozer because I don't want him to be the active villain. Okay, ready up, and then we'll draw back up to our hand size. All right, villain phase. 1 here. Wrecker's side scheme goes up to 6. Thunderballs goes up to 5. Clear the Road goes up to 5. And Pile It On goes up to 5. So, Wrecker has a 6. He's the active villain. He'll attack me. I'm going to defend that with Black Widow. And it's going to be for 3, 4, 5. So she's out of the game. And then the encounter card will come from him. And it is deal 1 damage to the hero ally with the fewest remaining hit points. And that is Iron Man, so he'll go from 9 to 8. Okay, so it's my turn. I'm going to put in Mockingbird. And I'm going to use one of my energy barriers and strength for 2-3 to pay for that. And she'll come in with 3 hit points. And when she comes into play, she stuns an enemy. I'm going to have her go ahead and stun Wrecker. I'll just let him hold on to the active marker. Okay, and then I'm going to have Pepper Potts, who's hanging off over here a little bit off the camera, to get the 2 resources here. I'm going to use those 2 and an energy barrier to bring in a Med Team, which will go over here. You can't see it, but it's next to Mockingbird over here. And that's going to bring in 3 counters. All right, I tried to zoom the camera out a little bit more so you could see more of what's going on in the game. I hope that's okay. But I got the med team out. I'm going to go ahead and use the med team to heal Iron Man for 2, bringing it back up from 8 to 10. Okay, and then I'm going to have Mockingbird attack for 1. On Wrecker, so he goes down to 14. I'm going to attack with my 2 power gauntlets. Bring him down to 12. Wrecker down from 14 to 12. And then I'll use the helmet to thwart for 1. I'm going to use Iron Man to thwart for 2. Off of Pile Driver. And then use the reactor to ready him. Thwart for 2 more. Off of Bulldozer. And that's it. I'll ready everything and draw back up to 6 or to 7. Okay, 1 threat on the main scheme. And then Wrecker's going to go from 6 to 7. And then Thunderball scheme will go up to 6. Clear the Road will go up to 4. And Pile It On will go up to 4. And so Wrecker is still the active villain with 7. And so he's supposed to attack, but he's stunned. His encounter card is Magic Crowbar attached to Wrecker. After Wrecker attacks, place 1 threat on the side scheme with the least threat. So he's got another attachment. So I'm going to move everything over a little bit, try to show this attachment. Hopefully I can beat him soon and clear some room out. But anyway, so he didn't attack, and now he has 2 different attachments on there. Okay, back to me. Okay, it's back to my turn. And I'm going to put in Nick Fury. And so he's going to go over here by med team. You can't see him. He's off camera here a little bit, but he's over here. I'm going to spend 1 preemptive strike, another preemptive strike, and Genius for 2, 3, 4 resources to be able to bring him in. And when he comes in, I'm going to use his 4 points of damage ability to go ahead and drop Bulldozer from 11 to 7. And discard Stark Tower for the mental resource. And exhaust Rocket Boots to go aerial because I want to do a supersonic punch. I'll have Pepper Potts copy this resource for 1, tackle for 2 to be able to pay for supersonic punch. He's aerial now, so he's going to do 8 damage. I'm going to do it to Wrecker, dropping him from 12 to 4. And then I'm going to use my 2 power gauntlets for 2, 4 to knock Wrecker out of the game. So currently, Thunderball will become the new active villain and Wrecker is done. Okay, so there's 1 down. Okay, and then I'll use the helmet. Because I'm aerial, the helmet can take 1 from each side scheme that's in play. So 1 off the main scheme. Or not, I'm sorry. Let me just read it to you. Exhaust Mark 5 helmet, remove 1 threat from a scheme from each scheme instead if you have the aerial trait. So I can remove 1 from each of the schemes that are left. The main scheme 1, 1 from Thunderballs, 1 from Bulldozers, and 1 from Pile Drivers. Okay? And then I'm going to have Iron Man thwart for 2 to bring Thunderball down even with the other one. So they all have 3. I'll have Arc Reactor ready, Iron Man. And I'm actually just going to have him attack for 1 to knock Bulldozer down from 7 to 6. And I'll decide, they're all tied now, and I'll decide who I want to be the main person now. I may go ahead and have Pile Driver do it, actually, because his attacks aren't as deadly, but we'll see. Oh, I got some allies here to activate. I'll have Mockingbird hit Pile Driver or Bulldozer for 1, dropping him to 5. And I'll have Nick Fury hit Pile Driver for 2, which will advance him to his side B side. So he'll come back into play with 14 on his side B side. And Nick Fury takes retaliate damage down to 2, and then his consequential down to 1. Okay, now I'm ready. Ready everyone back up. And then I'll draw up to 7. 1 threat on the main scheme, 1 on all the side schemes, which will bring each of them up to 4. And I think I'll just have I will just have Pile Driver be the active villain, because I don't want overkill from Bulldozer, and I don't want Thunderball. His force response is you deal 1 damage to each friendly character, or to each character. So I don't want to lose Mockingbird, and I'm going to lose Nick Fury anyway, but I don't want to lose Mockingbird. So Pile Driver is going to attack for 3, but I'm going to have Nick Fury defend. So he'll attack for 3, 4, 5. And I do have a preemptive strike, but I'm not going to use it. I will use my last energy barrier to prevent 1 of that damage and deal damage back to him, because he is one of the people I want to get out of the game. So he'll go from 14 to 13. So instead of doing 5, he'll only do 4 to Nick Fury. Okay, and then the encounter card. The active villain gains 3 hit points. Give that villain a tough status card. This is a typo. His card should say what the other 3 guys say. It should say the active villain heals 3 hit points. That has been updated in the most recent rules reference. So he'll heal 3, which he can only heal 1 up to 14, because he's not getting hit points, he's healing. And give that villain a tough status card. He can get that. Okay. So it's my turn. I think we're going to go ahead and tackle Thunderball. Use Pepper Pots to get 1 from the top of my deck, and then the Power of Protection for 2, 3. And I'm going to say that this wild resource is a fist. So I not only stun Thunderball, but I deal 3 damage to him, dropping him to 10 on his side A side. Okay. And then I'm going to exhaust my rocket boots and use a mental resource to go aerial. I'm actually going to have Iron Man attack for 1 to knock off this tough. Okay. And the reason why I did that is because I want to do a supersonic punch. And I'm going to use Preemptive Strike and War Machine to pay for that. So it's going to be 8 damage. And by the way, I'm going to be doing it to Pile Driver, dropping him from 14 down to 6, because it's going to be 8 damage. And that will be retaliate damage, dropping Iron Man from 10 to 9. Okay. And then I'm going to use my Power Gauntlets, both of them, to hit Bulldozer from 5 to 1. It's 2 damage for each one of the gauntlets, because I'm aerial. And so it'll go to 1. Then I'm going to use Arc Reactor to ready Iron Man and deal 1 damage to Bulldozer. And that will move him to his side B. And he comes back in with 15. Okay, and he still has his attachment. All right, I'm going to have Mockingbird hit, and I'm not going to have her do anything. I'm going to have Med Team heal Iron Man from 9 to 11 for 2. And then I'm going to have the Mark V helmet thwart for 1 off of all the schemes because I'm aerial. So 1 here and 1 from each of the schemes, dropping them all back down to 3. Going to hold on to Repulsor Blast for the next turn, and that'll be it. Ready everything up and get ready for the villain phase. I'm going to have to draw up, so that's 2. I have to deal myself, unfortunately, an encounter card from Pile Driver. Shuffle a deck and I'll draw the rest of the way. Okay, villain phase. 1 on the main scheme and then 1 on each of the side schemes. Bringing them all back to 4. There's a 3-way tie with all of them, so I'm going to have Thunderball become the active villain. He's supposed to attack, but he's stunned, so he won't. And then his encounter card, I'm going to have to deal him 1. So this one that came from Pile Driver, because I had to reshuffle my deck for running out. It says, when in hero form, Pile Driver attacks you. If he's tough, he gets +2 attack. He's not, so he's going to attack. And I'll just take it for 3. And move the active counter of the villain whose side scheme has the least threat. I'll just leave it where it is. He hits for 3. But I'm going to I was going to preemptive strike, but there's nothing to preemptive strike. So I'll just take 3 damage from 11 to 8. That's the reason why I did not defend with Mockingbird is because I was going to use a preemptive strike to deal some damage back, but there was no boost. Okay, so the other encounter card, it says, Buddy System, when revealed, choose the villain whose side scheme has the least threat. Reveal the top card of his deck. They're all, again, all equal. I'll just have Thunderball do it. So his card is, when revealed hero, Thunderball attacks you. If this attack is undefended, place 3 threat on Thunderball's side scheme. Okay? That's not too bad. It won't go off. It'll bring it up from 4 to 7. And I would like to be able to use Iron Man next time. And he's only attacking for 1. And I could use Mockingbird, I think, to defend it. But I won't. I'll just have Iron Man defend for 1. And so then he attacks actually for 2 because of his attachment. So a 2, 3. And I'll go ahead and just take it. 3 minus 1 is 2. Dropping it from 8 to 6. And it was defended, so I don't place threat on the main scheme, on Thunderball's side scheme. But the force response for his ball and chain, after Thunderball attacks, place 1 threat on the main scheme. That's not too bad. So it goes up to 2. All right, not bad. Although Iron Man is down to 6 health. But maybe I can take care of that in a second. Okay. So it is my turn. And I'm going to use the med team I have here to heal Iron Man back up to 8. So it'll get discarded. And then I'm going to put in an energy reflexes with the other energy reflexes and a preemptive strike for 2. And so that'll come into the game with 3 counters. Okay. And then I'll use one of those counters for 1. And then Pepper Potts to get the top card of the discard pile for 2. And then a preemptive strike for 3. To bring in another med team, which will be off over here. It'll come in with 3 counters. I'm going to exhaust that new one that just came in to heal Iron Man back up from 8 to 10. All right, and then I'm going to Repulsor Blast using Stark Tower and discard the top 5 cards of the deck, and I'm going to go after Pile Driver over here. It may be overkill, but I want to get him out of the game. All right, these are the 5 cards I discarded. I've got 1, 2 energy resources, so that's 4 total damage, plus the 1 from Repulsor Blast, so that's 5 damage to Pile Driver, bringing her from 6 to 1. Iron Man will take a Retaliate down to 9. And I'm going to use one of my Powered Gauntlets for 1 damage to knock him out of the game. So Pile Driver is gone. His side scheme will go away. And just give me a second to move things out a little bit, to spread these two out a little bit more so you can see. Okay. So now I'm going to use the other Power Gauntlet to go ahead and drop Thunderball down to 9. And then I'm going to use Mark V Helmet to thwart for 1 here off the main scheme. And I only can do 1 because I'm not aerial. Have the Arc Reactor ready, Iron Man. Have him thwart for 2 to drop Bulldozers, I guess, from 4 to 2. Because I don't want Bulldozer to go either, because he makes you discard the top 10 cards of your deck, and I don't want to do any more encounter cards than I have to. So Thunderball, his just stuns you. I'm happy with that. Yes, I know that when he attacks, he puts threat on the main scheme, but, you know, it's only at 1 right now, so I'm not worried. Okay, ready up. And I'll draw back up to 7. Okay, start of the villain phase. 1 threat on the main scheme, 1 on Thunderstruck, and 1 on Clear the Road. And so there's 5 on Thunderball scheme. He'll be the active villain. He's going to attack for 2. And I will have Mockingbird defend this time. Now his force response is after the attack. So you draw the boost, you attack and everything, and then you deal 1 damage to all characters. So he's going to attack for 2. And then deal 1 damage to the defending character. I knew that was going to happen, so she's gone. So she doesn't get to defend because she's knocked out before damage is dealt. So now Iron Man's going to have to take the brunt of it for 2. And I have no energy barrier, so he's going to go from 9 to 7. That's okay. And then the encounter card will have to come from him, and it's a Corrupt Prison Guard. Okay? So he'll come in with 3 health. Okay, I forgot to put a threat on the main scheme because of Thunderball's ball and chain attachment. So I did that. It's now up to 3. It's my turn. I'm going to use this Power of Protection to go aerial with the rocket boots, and use my 2 Power Gauntlets for 4 to knock out this Corrupt Guard. Get him, just go ahead and get him out of the way. And then I'll go ahead and use the helmet to thwart for 1 off of everything, because I'm aerial. And then I'll have Iron Man thwart for 2 off the main scheme to bring it back down, so I don't have no danger of losing to that. Arc Reactor to ready him, and the thwart for 2. And I'll just do it on Thunderball scheme to bring him down to 2 with Bulldozer. Okay, I'll have the med team heal Iron Man from 7 to 9. And then I want to play tackle. So I'm going to use Pepper Potts for 1 from the top card here. I'll go ahead and just use Black Widow for 2. And 1 of the energy barrier for 3. And I'm going to stun Thunderball and hit him for 3, dropping him from 9 to 6. Okay. And then I'm going to use enhanced reflexes, one of those tokens, and an energy barrier to put in an energy barrier over here. That'll come in with 3 tokens, 3 counters. Hold on to preemptive strike. And I think I'm at 9. I think I'm okay. I'm going to stay there, ready up, and stay as Iron Man. One more turn if I need to. I think I'll survive. Okay, and then drop to 7. All right, villain phase. 1 on the main scheme. 1 to bring Thunderstruck up to 3, and 1 to bring Clear the Road up to 3. They're tied. I'll just leave the active villain as Thunderball. He's stunned. He's going to attack, but he's stunned, so he won't. And so then the card, the encounter card he draws is Escaped Convict. He comes in with 2, and it surges. Okay. Chaos in the Prison. When revealed, choose to either discard an upgrade you control or place 1 threat on the active villain's side scheme for each upgrade you control. I'm not going to do that, so I'll just discard an upgrade, which will be the enhanced reflexes. Okay. So I have chosen to discard the enhanced reflexes. And so that'll take care of that encounter card. All right. Back to me. And this Escape Convict is in play, but he is not a guard, so I can still hit whoever I want to without having to worry about him. Before I do anything else, I'm going to use a med team to go ahead and use the last counter to heal Iron Man back from 9 to 11. Okay. And in its place, I'm going to put Nova. And I'm going to spend War Machine, a Preemptive Strike, and Genius for 1, 2, 3, 4 to be able to bring him in. So he'll come in with 3. And then I want to, okay, I'm going to have Pepper Potts use the Genius. I'm going to Repulsor Blast and save my Supersonic Punch for the next turn. I'm going to Repulsor Blast Thunderball over there. So, discard the top 5 cards of my deck. Okay, and that will empty my deck, and I'll do all that later, but I discard 1, 2, 3 energy resources, so that's 2, 4, 6, 7 damage. And he's at 6, so it'll move him to his side B. He'll come back into play with 16 hit points. So now all I have to do is get rid of Thunderball, 16, and Bulldozer's 15, and the game's over. So I got to deal myself in a counter card from Thunderball and reshuffle my deck. Okay, so I'll just have Nova go ahead and take out this Convict. So drop him down to 2. And then I'll use my 2 Power Gauntlets, do 2 damage. I'll just have it done to Bulldozer, just go ahead and work on him some. Then I'll use my Helmet to remove the threat from the main scheme. Iron Man will thwart for 2 on Thunderball. Arc Reactor will allow him to ready. And then I'll thwart for 2 on Bulldozer's scheme. And that's it. Okay, villain phase. Main scheme gets 1. And the 2 side schemes get 2. Bring them both up to 2. I'll just have Thunderball keep the active villain marker. So he's going to attack. But when he attacks, I'm going to use Nova's ability to interrupt. When an enemy initiates an attack against you, spend an injury resource. Deal 2 damage to that enemy. I'm going to spend Enhanced Reflexes energy resource to deal 2 damage. Dropping him from 16 to 14. And then he will attack for 3. And I'll just have Iron Man take this. So it's going to be 3, 4, 5. I'm going to use an energy barrier to prevent one of that and deal the damage back to drop him to 13. So it's actually just 4 damage, bringing him to 7, from 11 to 7. Okay. And he attacked, so that puts a threat on the main scheme because of his ball and chain. And now the encounter card, got to deal another encounter card. This first one that came out, because my deck had to be reshuffled. When in hero, the villain whose side scheme has the least threat attacks you. I'm going to have that be, I'll just have Thunderball do that again. But this time, well, I could use Nova's ability here to do 2 more damage, but I want to save, the only 2 energy resources I have are Supersonic Punch, and I could use Power Protection, but I want to use that to go aerial. So I won't use his ability, but I think I will have Nova take this for me. I hate to do that, but I don't want to die. I'm at 7. So anyway, it's going to be for 3, 4, 5. I will use an energy barrier. Oh, I'm not taking any amount of damage, so I can't do that. So anyway, Nova's gone. I think earlier in the game I may have used an energy barrier when I was blocking with a defender, and this says when you would take any amount of damage. I don't think I was supposed to do that. I'm sorry about that if I did, but anyway, Nova's gone, and he attacked, so I put threat on the main scheme. It's up to 3. Okay, and then this encounter card, radioactive buildup attached to Thunderball. Excess damage dealt by Thunderball is placed as threat on his corresponding side scheme. And then you discard it when it's gone. So he's going to get a +3 attack. Okay, back to me. Okay, I'm going to discard Power of Protection and use the wild resource as a mental so I can go aerial. And then I'm going to Supersonic Punch using Mockingbird and Pepper Potts to copy this resource. So that's 2. It's going to deal 8 damage to Thunderball. So he's going to go from 13 to 5. Okay. And then I'm going to use the other Supersonic Punch using the 2 Repulsor Blasts I have. And I'm going to do that to Bulldozer. So he's going to go from 13 to 5. Okay. And then I'm going to use my 2 Power Gauntlets since I'm aerial to do 2 4 damage to Thunderball, dropping him from 5 to 1. And then I'm going to have Iron Man attack for 1 to knock Thunderball out of the game. So he's gone. Bulldozer is now the only villain left. Everything is going to come from him. Okay? And then I'm going to use my Mark V helmet to thwart for 1 off of each scheme. Have the arc reactor ready, Iron Man, and I'll just thwart for 2 on the main scheme. I'm at 7 health, but I think I can survive, but I want to make sure I do. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip to Tony Stark and ready everybody up, draw up to 6 because I'll be on Alter Ego side. Okay, 1 threat on the main scheme. 1 threat on Bulldozer's scheme. He will scheme for 2, 3. So that'll just bring it up to 5. And then the encounter card is lead the charge. Discard the top X cards of your deck where X is Bulldozer's attack. So, which is 4. So discard the top 4 cards of your deck. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I have to place 1 threat on Bulldozer side scheme for each different card type discarded this way. So I have 2 resources, an upgrade, and an event. So that's 3 different types. So I'll put another 3 on there, which go from 5 to 8. Okay, so it's only up to 8. And that was the encounter card. Okay, back to Tony Stark. And I'll just go ahead and heal for 3, just to be safe, up to 10. I probably didn't need to do that. I probably could have won the game, but I just wanted to be safe. Everything seems to be going well. So I'm going to flip to Tony Stark, or flip to Iron Man, excuse me. And then I got to try to eke out 5 damage, and I can. I'm going to go Aerial, using Stark Tower's mental resource to go Aerial. I'm going to go 2, 4 with the Power Gauntlets to drop him from 5 to 1. Then use the Arc Reactor to ready Iron Man and attack for 1, knock him out, and that's the game. Okay, well, I hope I didn't make a lot of mistakes. If I did, I'm sorry if I made any rules errors in my favor that really messed up the game. I think I did make that one where I used an energy barrier to put a damage back on one of the villains when I defended with an ally. So if I did, I'm sorry. But I still think I would have won the game anyway. I seemed to cruise pretty easily. And Iron Man Protection just seems to match up well against the Wrecking Crew. And so that's the game. Iron Man Protection defeats the Wrecking Crew on Extreme Challenge. And so I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And hit the notification bell so you'll know when any future playthroughs are coming out. I haven't done a playthrough for Spider-Man and Ms. Marvel yet, so I will be doing playthroughs for them at some point, so keep your eye out on that. And again, hit the notification bell so you'll know when those playthroughs come out. And until then, thank you for watching, and I'll save you a seat at the table.